The cub climbed down its owner's shoulder, then hopped onto the scooter's back seat. On their way, it sent out spiritual force, which merged into the morning glories with buds by the roadside. The morning glories bloomed in an instant. This occurrence elicited whining sounds from the cub before it transferred its focus on other plants. In fact, Purple Jade was not playing around when it did this. It was feeling the rhythm of plants, instead, thinking of what controlling would spiritual power truly meant. After watching related videos on the internet last night, it was now researching. Once he arrived at school, Subai saw that only a few people were in class, and those present were all earnestly memorizing texts. Most of them were pure science students, who had to prepare for the college entrance examination. Subai sat in his seat and took out copies of the junior trainer's notes given to him by his master. Gao and wrote these notes himself when he was still a junior trainer. After he became a senior educator, he further made comments on them, so these notes were incredibly rare. As for Purple Jade, Subai had stuffed it with a copy of a wood attribute pet cultivation book. A mature pet must learn to cultivate itself. Stepping on the cultivation book, the cub stared at the words in relish with its big, purple eyes. As if it agreed with the words, it would nod and make howling sounds occasionally. Not long after, Chen Roshua and the others arrived. She put down her books and leaned over to Subai. "Hey, how did your educator certification test go yesterday? Was it so difficult that it made you desperate?" The girl laughed. Since she possessed knowledge of trainers, she understood how difficult the assessment was, especially the experiment part. Glancing at her, Subai silently took out his trainer certificate. He then strolled around before stuffing the notebook back into his pocket. "Chen Roshue? You passed it. Are you serious? Let me see." Her first reaction was disbelief, for she understood the exam's difficulty. "Lower your voice, I don't want our classmates to know." Subai took out the small notebook as if to brag. Happiness was only real when shared with others, so he would not feel complete unless he showed off in front of his close friends. "Don't worry." The girl nodded and looked around. At this time, everyone else was busy reciting book texts and no one was paying attention to them. He handed her the small notebook, which she held in her hand. Chen Ruoshua stared at it for a long time, expressing self-doubt. Was she stupider than this boy? Her studies were obviously better than his, though she was not stupid, so how could he manage to pass such a difficult exam? Yes, that was right. He was a genius trainer. "Okay, fine. Help me customize a set of cultivation plans for Xiao Bai." She returned the book and requested without courtesy, since they had such a solid relationship. "Okay, it's not impossible. I'm just missing a massage." Subai blinked. The girl's cheeks swelled, then she smiled evilly. "Okay, don't blame me if you suddenly have broken ribs." He shrank back in fright. "I was just kidding. How couldn't I help you? Do I look like that kind of person?" "That's more like it." His friend nodded. "Don't leave once school is over this afternoon. I have something to tell you about the game." "Okay." The morning class was as boring as ever. As for their afternoon class, their teacher then once again nagged the spirit subject test takers to practice for the end of the month's exam. Other than that, nothing major happened. After school, almost all students either went to eat or returned home. Only the trio stayed behind. F***CK. It's been too tough on me to do homework from morning till afternoon. I've obviously applied for the spirit course already, so why do the teachers of English, math, and physics still require the D***MN assignments? Yongju rubbed his sore hands and verbally cursed. He had been tortured from morning until afternoon by his mountain of homework and had hardly taken a break between classes. The most difficult thing is that I heard that the English teacher had also passed the junior trainer certification test, so she might be our teacher for the spirit training course. It's really too difficult. Yang Ju complained non-stop as he sat opposite of Subai, and it was quite a headache. Junior trainer certificate? I have it, too. He took out his notebook and shook it while grinning. What the F***CK? No way. His friend snatched it and took a look. The boy then knelt on the bench with a thud. He hugged his arm and asked, "Father, are you short of a bodyguard? I'm strong and definitely the best candidate. Get lost, I don't need it." I also don't have a son as old as you. Love disappears with time, eh? To think of our years together. F***ck. It's normal if you want me to customize a cultivation plan for you. Do you really want to break off our relationship? Subai had goosebumps all over his body. This guy was too cheap. Ha ha ha. I was just kidding. Don't take it seriously. Chen Bigsa, let's talk serious businesses now. I'll treat you to dinner later. His friend quickly became serious when he heard the purpose behind their meeting. Chen Bigsa was Chen Roshua's nickname. In their native language, Sa meant head, so Chen Bigsa meant Chen Big Head. Okay, I've been investigating things about the competition recently. The registration is officially closed now, and it has more than 2,000 participants. The strongest pair has pets at the warlord level. That's too difficult. The sponsors of the Can Trainee Pet Tamer Survival Challenge were Xingyu Gymnasium, as well as a few other gymnasiums, and some research institutes. Their main targets were the newly emerging Pet Tamer apprentices this year. This competition was held yearly, and there would be more than one competition by most gymnasiums. This was regarded as society's cultivation of cute, novice pet tamers. The survival challenge hosted by Xingyu Gymnasium was generally held in April each year for a relatively long time. It was not impossible for some people to raise their pets to the warlord level, so not many youngsters would participate in the competition, for they did not think they could win. Instead, they would wait for the coming year to participate. Also, there were other competitions of the same type. Only a few thousand youths participated in the competition each time, but this year's number was less than last year's. It was probably because they learned about the pair of participants with warlord-level pets and had given up. Subai looked at the information on Chen Roshua's mobile phone and saw that the rival pair was called the Waterfire Twins. They were genius students of Can First Middle School. Their pets were of the water and fire attributes, and they were invincible when together. This time, the prize was almost in their pockets. It's not just them, many others are also with warlord pets. This competition is extremely difficult. Maybe we're just there to fill in the space. Chen Roshua sighed. The tactical play between her and Subai would be almost useless against pets at the warlord level. The gap was too great, and their pets could completely lose their combat effectiveness with a single blow. In the face of absolute strength, their tactics were useless. Don't be afraid, it's not as if we have no chance of winning at all. This isn't a 2-on-2 arena but rather a survival fight for everyone to participate in. As long as we grasp the opportunity to hit, we may have a chance. Subai pondered for a moment. If it were a ring battle, it would be almost impossible to win, but the format of this game was such that everyone would enter a prescribed large area with their tags and victors would be determined by how many tags they held. Similar to the game PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, this system allowed the weak to have a comeback chance, though the possibility was relatively small. I'm not afraid, I'll definitely try my best to win the championship after participating. I only showed these to give you a good idea of what we're up against so that we can come up with a strategy. Chen Roshua was never the kind to give up because of a slim chance at victory. What are you afraid of? Just do it. Who cares how many of them are there? I believe in you too. Let me treat you guys to a meal, and we can talk more during it. Yang Ju slapped the table and shouted. Since it was not his competition, he was very open-minded about it.